I'm Clara Bennett, 70 years old. And for 40 years, I've carried the deep, unhealed wound of a betrayal that tore my family apart and redefined my identity. It was the spring of 1985, a crisp, dewy morning in Melbourne, the air tinged with the scent of eucalyptus and the faint hum of trams in the distance, when my older brother, Richard Bennett, cornered me in our father's oak-paneled study during a contentious family meeting. The room, with its heavy velvet curtains and shelves of leather-bound ledgers, had always been a sanctuary of our family's textile legacy, Bennett Textiles, a company I'd helped nurture from a modest workshop into a regional powerhouse. I was 30 then, a diligent assistant to my father, Harold Bennett, whose sharp mind and innovative designs had built the business. My role, managing logistics, sketching patterns, ensuring quality, had been indispensable, my eye for detail turning rough fabrics into sought-after garments. But that day, as father's health waned after a minor stroke the previous year, Richard, ambitious and calculating, seized his moment. "You'll always be the weak one. Clara, never good enough to lead," he declared, his voice a cold, cutting edge that sliced through the tension. His eyes, a mirror of father's but devoid of warmth, bore into me as he laid out his plan to take control, manipulating father's fragile state with forged documents and a narrative of my incompetence. The will, altered in 1986 after father's full stroke, named Richard sole heir, a decision rubber-stamped by a family lawyer in his pocket. The courts, swayed by Richard's connections, and my lack of concrete proof, my records mysteriously vanished from the office safe, upheld his claim, leaving me dispossessed, my dreams of leadership dashed at 30. My husband, Tom, a gentle schoolteacher with a love for history, stood by me, but our finances crumbled under the weight of legal battles, our plans for a larger home and children deferred indefinitely. Those words, week one, never good enough, became a relentless echo, a shadow that clung to me through every quiet moment of the decades that followed. I can still picture the weeks after the ruling, sitting on a threadbare sofa in our modest Carlton flat, the hum of an old sewing machine, my only companion as I pieced together a new life. The flat, with its peeling wallpaper and creaking floors, was a far cry from the sprawling family estate in Toorak, now Richard's domain. Tom took on extra tutoring shifts, his evenings spent grading papers by lamplight, while I turned to tailoring, my skills from the factory a lifeline. I'd spread fabrics across the kitchen table, silks, cottons, wools, stitching dresses for local women, each seam a stitch in my resolve. Our daughter, Lily, born in 1988 after years of trying, grew up in that cramped space, her laughter a balm but her questions a constant ache. "Why doesn't Uncle Richard like you, Mummy?" she'd ask, her small fingers tracing the patterns I'd taught her to love. I'd smile, deflecting with tales of fabric dyes. But the truth gnawed at me. Richard had turned my own family against me, his version of events painting me as the jealous sibling. Richard's empire soared in the years that followed. Bennett Textiles expanded, opening factories in Geelong, Ballarat, and beyond, his name emblazoned on labels that graced department stores nationwide. He built a mansion with manicured gardens, hosted lavish parties, and flaunted his wealth with tailored suits and imported cars, while I scraped by, my business a small but steady venture by 40. My clientele grew, brides, actresses, even a few society ladies, who praised my custom gowns, their word of mouth turning my name into a quiet legend in Melbourne's fashion circles. But the wound festered. Richard's occasional appearances at family gatherings were a parade of condescension, his smug updates about factory profits, his wife Eleanor's diamond necklaces, his son James's private school triumphs. My parents, both gone by 2000, had believed his lies, their final years clouded by his narrative. Lily, now a nurse, struggled with guilt, her visits tinged with apologies for siding with Richard in her youth, while Tom's quiet support kept me grounded, his love anchor in the storm. The turning point came 6 years ago, in 2019, when the first cracks in Richard's facade appeared. His factories face labor disputes, workers striking over unpaid wages, lawsuits piling up, and rumors of unsafe conditions leaked to the press. At 64, with my arthritis a nagging companion, I began my quiet investigation, leveraging my network of former Bennett Textiles employees. I'd meet them at cafes or parks, my sewing bag a disguise, listening to their stories over cups of tea. Last month, on July 10th, 2025, I sat with Margaret, a retired seamstress who'd worked the Geelong line, at a quiet corner table in a Fitzroy cafe. Her hands, gnarled from years at the machines, passed me a worn folder. "He's cutting corners, falsified safety records, exploited workers," she murmured, her voice trembling with anger. "The Geelong plant's a death trap." My pulse quickened. This was the leverage I'd waited for. On August 1st, 2025, I contacted Emma, a journalist I'd met at a community event who'd covered labor scandals with tenacity. We met at her office, her desk cluttered with notes. As she reviewed the folder, photos of rusted machines, logs of ignored complaints. "This could ruin him," she said, her pen tapping. "But we need ironclad proof and the right moment." On August 15th, 2025, I delved deeper, turning my sewing room into a detective's lair. Amid bolts of fabric and thread spools, I accessed public records online, my fingers stiff but determined. At 3 p.m., I found it a 1986 factory inspection report with Richard's forged signature, tied to the Geelong plant now under scrutiny for a near accident last year. My hands shook as I printed it, the past colliding with the present in black and white clarity. That night, at 8:10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on August 25th, 2025, I sat by my window, the Melbourne skyline a distant constellation of lights, plotting my next step. The annual Bennett Textiles Gala was on September 8th, a glittering event to mask Richard's decline. I'd attend, not as the weak one, but as his undoing. What he didn't know was I'd transformed my pain into a weapon sharpened by 40 years of patience and perseverance. The 2 weeks leading to the gala were a meticulous tapestry of strategy and subterfuge, my days in the sewing room a facade for the vengeance simmering within. By August 28th, 2025, my Carlton home, its walls adorned with fabric swatches, its tables a chaos of patterns and pins, evolved into a war room where every stitch of my past fueled my resolve. Emma and I met nightly, her notebook open on my dining table, as we pored over the folder and report. The 1986 Geelong factory, a sprawling complex of brick and steel, had concealed unsafe machinery, exposed gears, faulty wiring, its records falsified to pass inspections under Richard's directive. Margaret's notes detailed ongoing violations, unpaid overtime stretching into months, hazardous conditions ignored, a near-fatal incident in 2024 hushed with payoffs. I contacted David, a retired union representative who'd clashed with Richard in the 90s, his gravelly voice joining us via a shaky video call. This could trigger a fair work raid. Hit him when he's at his peak, he rasped, his eyes alight with old grudges. I nodded, my mind weaving a plan born of 40 years of suppressed fury, each thread a memory of injustice. The gala, set for 7 p.m. on September 8th, 2025, at the opulent Grand Hyatt Ballroom, would be Richard's stage, a gathering of investors, media, government officials, and extended family, all dazzled by chandeliers and champagne. I'd pose as a retired seamstress, my silver hair swept into a neat bun, my shawl and cane a disguise honed by years of blending into the background. My role was to deliver the evidence to Emma, who'd signal David's Fair Work contacts at 8 p.m., timed with Richard's keynote address, ensuring maximum exposure. I secured an invitation through Helen, a cousin and gala organizer who'd admired my early designs, her memory of me untainted by Richard's lies. She emailed it on August 20th, a gold-embossed digital ticket I saved like a talisman, her note reading, "So glad you're joining us, Clara." She suspected nothing. Her warmth a tool I'd wield. Preparation was a grueling ritual, a blend of physical and emotional fortitude. I practiced my demeanor daily, walking the garden path to perfect a frail gait and a gentle, unassuming smile that masked my burning resolve. I rehearsed lines, just here to support the family legacy. Though each word carried the weight of Richard's betrayal, Tom's unwavering support, and Lily's silent guilt. Physically, I stretched and lifted light weights, my joints protesting with every move, but each effort bolstered my will to stand tall that night. I revisited old mementos, Father's ledger with my logistics notes, a faded photo of us at a factory opening, a letter from Tom praising my strength after the court loss, a child's drawing from Lily of me at a sewing machine. Each item a thread in the fabric of my determination. One night, I found a half-finished scarf I'd designed for Father, its edges frayed, and wept, the unfinished work a symbol of my stolen inheritance. I also tracked Lily's life, her nursing career, her recent engagement, hoping this act would mend our bond. On September 5th, Richard called, his tone dripping with false camaraderie. "Clara, the gala's a milestone. Bring Lily, let's show a united front. Eleanor's eager to see you." I agreed, my voice neutral, hiding the storm within. He didn't suspect I'd coordinated with Emma, who'd lined up David's Fair Work contacts, or that I'd commissioned a navy dress with a hidden pocket, its elegance a nod to my past dignity. The dress arrived on September 6th, tailored by a local seamstress, Maria, who chatted about her daughter's wedding plans, unaware of my mission. I tested the pocket, sliding the folder inside, its weight a promise of justice. At 6 p.m. on September 8th, I arrived, the ballroom's grandeur, a cascade of crystal and gold, reflecting my inner steel. Guests in tuxedos and gowns mingled, their laughter a stark contrast to my purpose. Richard spotted me near the entrance, his smile tight. "Clara, still stitching away? Good to see you holding up," he quipped, his eyes scanning for weakness. I nodded, my cane steady, my pocket a silent arsenal, my heart thumping with the rhythm of 40 years. At 7:45 p.m., he took the stage, launching into a speech about his enduring family legacy and unwavering commitment to the textile industry. I scanned the room, Lily clapping hesitantly, her fiancé beside her, investors nodding, media recording, Eleanor sipping champagne with a smug grin. At 7:58 p.m., as Richard raised a glass to his empire, I edged toward Emma, my pulse a drumbeat. I slipped her the folder, whispering, "Now." She nodded, texting David. At 8:02 p.m., Fair Work agents burst in, badges glinting under the chandeliers, shouting, "Investigation underway." Richard's glass crashed to the stage, his face draining of color as agents seized his files and laptops, the room erupting into chaos. The gala dissolved into a maelstrom of pandemonium, guests scattering like startled flocks, media cameras swiveling to capture every frame, Richard's shouts drowned by the authoritative cadence of Fair Work's commands. Lily stood frozen near a marble pillar, her fiancé's hand on her arm, her eyes wide with shock, while investors whispered furiously, their confidence shattered. I stood tall, my navy dress a badge of my hard-earned resolve, my cane a symbol of strength, my heart pounding with 40 years of vindication and the bittersweet ache of a family nearly lost forever. Agents swarmed the stage, their black uniforms a stark contrast to the opulence, cuffing Richard as he roared, "This is a setup, Clara, you'll pay." They read charges, labor violations, fraud, safety breaches, each word a hammer blow to his empire, the list growing with mentions of unpaid wages and a 2024 near fatality. Emma approached, her voice steady amid the din. "They've got him cold. Clara, you've done it." The media frenzy was immediate. Headlines like Bennett Textiles collapses and scandal, and seamstress's 40-year revenge blazed across screens by 9 p.m. my name a whisper of awe in the chaos. Richard turned to me, his face flushed with rage, sweat beading on his forehead, his tailored suit rumpled as agents tightened their grip. You? After all these years, you spiteful old hag? You'll ruin us all, he bellowed, his voice cracking. I met his gaze, unflinching, my voice clear despite the tremor in my hands. You said I was weak, Richard, never good enough to lead. I just proved you wrong, with evidence, with endurance, with the life I built while you decayed on a throne of lies. This is my payback, for me, for Lily, for every worker you exploited, for every dream you stole. He lunged, his fist raised in a futile gesture, but agents restrained him, dragging him out as Eleanor sobbed, her diamond necklace catching the light in a mockery of her fall. Lily rushed to me, her voice breaking through the noise. Mom, I didn't know. I'm so sorry for believing him. I hugged her. The first embrace in years, her fiancé, nodding in support, a bridge to a future we'd reclaim. The room buzzed with reporters, their microphones thrust toward me, but I turned away, my victory a private flame burning bright. The fallout was swift and merciless. Fair work froze Bennett Textiles' assets, factories, warehouses, accounts, halting production lines, while agents raided offices across Victoria. Richard's firm's stock plummeted, investors fled, and his reputation, once a pillar of Melbourne society, became a cautionary tale. The media dug deeper, uncovering a $5 million slush fund for bribes, a detail that sent shockwaves through the industry. Lily reconciled fully, moving into my flat to help with the design studio we dreamed of, her nursing skills aiding my arthritis care, while Tom and I rekindled our bond, planning a trip to the countryside. Eleanor vanished from public view, her social circle dissolving, and James, Richard's son, distanced himself, seeking a career away from the family name. I didn't gloat. My goal was justice, not annihilation, but the sight of Richard's empire crumbling brought a profound peace, a quiet satisfaction that filled the hollow left by his words. At 8:10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on August 25, 2025, I sat with a cup of chamomile tea, the news confirming his remand, a letter from Richard in hand. Clara, I was wrong. Forgive me, help me, it pleaded, his handwriting shaky. I didn't reply, the past too raw, my strength too hard-won to soften now. Months later, his trial began, prosecutors wielding my evidence, Margaret's testimony, and David's union records with devastating precision. I attended the first day, my presence a silent testament to my journey, seated beside Lily and Tom, and watched Richard's defense crumble under the weight of truth, dozens of workers stepping forward with stories of exploitation. The judge, a woman with a no-nonsense air, ordered a full audit, hinting at prison time. Lily and I launched our studio, Bennett and Daughter Designs, restoring family pride with sustainable fabrics, while Tom retired, joining me in the creative process, his historical knowledge inspiring vintage collections. We hired Margaret as a consultant, her expertise a bridge to the past. I visited the Geelong factory once, its gates locked, its looms silent, a monument to Richard's greed and my redemption. My revenge, 40 years in the making, was not just justice. It was my rebirth, a life reclaimed from the ashes of his betrayal, a testament to the strength I'd always possessed. On Revenge Lane, betrayal fuels redemption. What would you do after years of hurt? Share below and subscribe for more payback tales.